Hola clase, ¿cómo están ustedes? Yo estoy muy bien, gracias. Hoy voy a ayudarles con la tarea en la comunidad. So I'm going to help you guys today with your En la Comunidad assignment. Again, just because it is a little bit more complicated than the ones that we've been working on, and so I want to try to help you out with that. So, en muchas partes de Costa Rica, las calles no tienen nombres y las casas no tienen números. La gente usa puntos de referencia como tiendas y iglesias para orientarse. So in many parts of Costa Rica, the streets have no names and the houses have no numbers. The people use points of references such as stores and churches to orientate themselves. Pretty wild to think about that. So I know when I've been to Puerto Rico, you have to do a lot of asking of questions. It can get a little bit confusing when there's no names to things. El mercado de Chicachitango es un lugar donde la gente de la ciudad se encuentra con la gente rural para comprar y vender sus productos. So in this market of the Chichicastenango es un lugar, it is a place where la gente de la ciudad, the people of the city, find the rural people in order to buy and sell their products. And en esta reserva en Honduras, in this reserve in Honduras, se trabaja para restaurar el manglar. So that is a mangrove forest. So in this Honduras reserve, they work to restore a mangrove forest que se destrozó durante la construcción urbana, that was destroyed during urban construction. So, piensa y comparte. So this is just asking you to think and share. Unos 42 millones de personas vive en Centroamérica. Aproximadamente el 55% vive en zonas rurales. So, there are some 42 million people that live in Central America, and approximately 55% live in rural zones. La pregunta es, so this is a question asking you, ¿prefieres vivir en una comunidad pequeña or una ciudad grande? So do you prefer to live in a small community or in a big city? ¿Y por qué? So we would answer this question by saying, prefiero vivir, ... right? I prefer to live, and then you're going to tell me your answer and por qué. ¿Cuáles crees que son las industrias más importantes de Centroamérica? Which ones do you think are the most important industries in Central America? Just something to think about. You might want to think about what you first drink in the morning when you get up. If you are a coffee drinker, this is something that definitely comes from Central America. Okay, so over here, hay muchos tipos de comunidad, pero casi todas tienen ciertos aspectos en común. So there are many types of communities, but almost always they have certain aspects in common. ¿Cuáles son algunos de los servicios y lugares fundamentales para una comunidad? So what are some of the services and fundamentals for each community and why? So por ejemplo, I'd probably say un médico or hospital, a doctor, a hospital, una escuela quizás, la educación pública es un ejemplo. También, let's see, una gasolinera, maybe a gas station, bomberos, firefighters. Entonces, so this gives you a little bit of an idea. Remember, this is where you're just trying to think and share, so you can't have a wrong answer. I'm just trying to get you to explore the Spanish language. So vamos a continuar. So again, we have another Un Mundo Sin Límites. You guys are going to watch the video and then we're going to answer questions about that. But antes de ver, before you watch, Michelle se mudó a Tegucigalpa, Honduras. Michelle moved to Tegucigalpa, Honduras después de terminar la universidad, after finishing university. Trabaja para un ONG que ayuda y educa a la gente de la ciudad y de las comunidades rurales alrededor de ella. So she works for an ONG, which is probably an NGO, which is a non-government agency that helps to educate the people of the city and the communities and rural areas surrounding her. Ella sabe formar una conexión real con personas con diversas experiencias en la vida. She knows how to form connections, real-life connections with people with diverse experiences in the community. ¿Qué cualidades le ayudan a una persona como Michelle a vivir y trabajar en condiciones tan diferentes y a veces muy difíciles? So what qualities do you think help her, Michelle, as a person, to live and work in conditions so different and sometimes very difficult? Cuando piensas en tu trabajo después de la universidad, ¿quieres hacer algo ayudando en la comunidad y por qué? So when you think about your work after the university, do you want to hacer algo? Do you want to do something helping en la comunidad and por qué? So this is a really great question. And the last couple of years before the pandemic, I took students to an NGO in Ollantaytambo where we worked side by side with nurses that were going into communities that didn't have access to healthcare education. And it was really fascinating watching people work in these communities, especially people that came from the United States and set up these NGOs to improve the communities in these foreign countries. And I know for my students, it's always such a humbling experience to go see how the majority of the world lives. 80% of the world lives on $10 a day or less. And it is a real eye-opener when you can see it for yourself. So that's something I love. I went on a couple of Spanish service trips, and I've led many of them through my life and in my career, and it's something I'm super passionate about. I love helping the community, whether it's in my own community or also if it is in another. It doesn't matter. Helping people is really something that always keeps me motivated. So with that being said, what kind of cualidades le ayuda una persona como Michelle? So what kind of qualities would she need? So you would start to answer this question by saying, Michelle, let's say this, las cualidades que le ayudan Michelle son ... So the qualities that will help Michelle are, and then you guys can list what qualities you think would be good to work in these kind of conditions and create these different relationships. And when you think about your job, ¿quieres hacer algo ayudando la comunidad? You say, sí, yo quiero hacer, I want to do this, blah, 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 blah. Or no prefiero ayudar nadie. I prefer to help no one. I'm just kidding. Ayudar nadie. Or you could say, prefiero trabajar en el sector privado. I prefer to work in the private sector or something of that such. Okay, so this was before we watch. Vamos. So this is going to be so fun to see. Okay. So some words that you're going to see. Me ha servido de mucho. It's been very good for me. Las reuniones, meetings. Una ONG, a non-profit organization. Capacitamos, we train. El emprendimiento, entrepreneurialism. Wow, that's hard to say in English. Campamento Olancho, comunidad rural. Tiene pendiente todavía, she still needs to. Cabalgar, ride on horseback. La hacienda, the ranch. Los caballos, horses. All right, so. Ooh, okay. So I'll make sure I put on the closed captions.
Hi, my name is Michelle, and I'm from Cumming, Georgia. Pero ahora voy a hablar en español porque vivo en Tegucigalpa, Honduras. Realmente me ha servido de mucho aprender español. A veces estoy en reuniones y digo, wow, solo estoy aquí porque puedo hablar en español. Aquí trabajo con una ONG y capacitamos a maestros en el tema de emprendimiento. Él es mi amigo Jorge, que viene de Campamento Olancho. Es una comunidad muy pequeña que está como a 1 hora y media de Tegucigalpa.
¿Qué tal? Mi nombre es Jorge Ramírez. Con la ONG de Michelle trabajamos en lo que es en el área de educación, en una ONG que tiene mi familia y pues ya somos más amigos que compañeros de trabajo, la verdad ya hace más de 3 años y pues muy contento de conocerla. Tiene pendiente todavía ir a cabalgar en la hacienda de mi tío Caballos, porque te invité a
Sí,
cabalgar y no has llegado todavía.
Sí, no, pero voy a ir. Le he dicho eso 3 años, pero te prometo que
Vamos
voy
a
a ir.
ver.
Muy bien. Wow, I love listening to English speakers learn Spanish. That was so cool.
Hi,
And always so inspirational. And I love what she said. I wouldn't be here if, I'm here because I learned Spanish, and I can really identify with that. Spanish has given me so many amazing opportunities, and if I wouldn't have had it, I never would have had those incredible opportunities. So Michelle se pone, this is número uno, Michelle se pone contenta cuando piensa en el efecto de hablar español en su vida. Does it make Michelle happy when she thinks about the effect of Spanish on her life? Número dos, Jorge y Michelle se conocieron en la universidad. Jorge y Michelle met at university. Número tres, Jorge es de un pueblo pequeño a 3 horas de Tegucigalpa. Jorge is from a small town, 3 hours from Tegucigalpa. Número 4, la familia de Jorge solo se dedica a la agricultura. The family of Jorge is only dedicated to agriculture. Michelle nunca fue a montar a caballo a la hacienda del tío de Jorge. So Michelle never went to ride a horse at Jorge's uncle's ranch. Okay, vámonos. So hopefully you guys will still have to choose whether they're cierto or falso, but I translated them for you, so hopefully that will help. Okay, vamos. So, entendiste? Did you understand? ¿Cómo se transformó la vida de Michelle como resultado de aprender español? So how did Michelle's life transform, resulting in learning Spanish? And so actually, if you go back to a lot of these true-false questions, you're going to be able to answer these a lot easier. So always use your test skills that you learned in high school to answer questions when you're really confused. But hopefully I'm helping you here regardless, but these are always great skills to use. Let's go back and use other answers as well. ¿Crees que algún día vas a usar el español en el trabajo? Do you think that someday you will use Spanish in your job? ¿Por qué? And why? Número dos, ¿cómo se conocieron Jorge y Michelle? So how did Jorge and Michelle meet? Después de la universidad, ¿cómo crees que la gente típicamente conoce a nuevos amigos y crea su propia comunidad? So after university, how do you think people generally meet new friends and create their own community? So just to let you know, conocer means to know people or to know places. But also in this context, it means to meet somebody. So I can say, ay, yo conocí Jorge ayer. I met Jorge yesterday. And so just know that this is what it's meaning in that context, is to meet new friends, not to know new friends. Número tres, ¿a quiénes capacitan Michelle, Jorge y sus ONG sobre el tema del aprendimiento? ¿Por qué crees que educar o este grupo de personas puede beneficiar a toda la comunidad? So why do you think it's important to educate the community? I always say this, education is the most important gift that we have, and it's the only tool that we have to lift us out of poverty. And the more people that you can educate in a community, the better your community comes as a whole. So that's pretty powerful. So just do your best in answering these questions. So I'm really just trying to push you to answer and write into Spanish. So I'm not so concerned if you totally blow it with your grammar. Remember, you have to make tons of mistakes in order for your Spanish to get better. So número cuatro, ¿qué le prometió Michelle a Jorge hace 3 años? What did Jorge promise Michelle after 3 years? ¿Alguna vez hiciste planes con alguien de tu comunidad y luego no tuviste tiempo para cumplirlos? Have you in the past made plans with somebody in your community and later did not have the time to do them or to complete them? ¿Por qué puede ser difícil hacer todo lo que quieres? Why do you think that it can be hard or difficult to do things that you want to sometimes? I know during the semester es muy difícil hacer cosas. If you're trabajando and you have other responsabilidades, it leaves very little time to do other things. So I really hope this helps you guys again in this last part in answering your questions in Spanish. I just want you to try to do the best you can. But remember, for example, number 4, where it says, ¿Qué le prometió Michelle a Jorge? What did he promise her after 3 years? If you go back to the true false, this was what they were talking about. Michelle never rode a horse at his uncle's ranch. And so you could use that sentence to be able to answer this question, right? So use what you have to help you survive until you can get there on your own. Que tenga buen día. I hope you have an amazing day y nos vemos pronto. Ciao. Yeah,